Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is MrYorkiesWorld, and welcome back to part number 2 of this, well, two-part flight, I guess. We are in Ryanair flight number 6627 today. The previous was 6626. We're going to be going from Lanzarote back to Edinburgh. It's a nice, lovely, sunny day here, so looking forward to the flight. You can see that we are down at the gate that we were previously, which is number 14, I think, or 14, whichever way you want to put it, but there we go. Plenty of other Ryanairs around. We can straight away see that the parking brake has been set, which is what we need. We can go in and set the fuel. The fuel that we're going to be taking is 29,881 pounds of fuel. Very, very similar, if not the same, to the amount of fuel that we took on the previous flight. Obviously, because it is going to be near enough exactly the same. Probably like 1 or 2 different variations in the route. But apart from that, everything's going to be fine. So we can start the APU, set the wheel well light on and everything like that. The flight level today is going to be 370, so we'll set the pressurization in just a second. 370, oh, look at that, that landed straight on it, there we go. IRS as to nav. Very excited, by the way, everybody. While I'm just setting up the aircraft, I will say I'm extremely excited for a new UK and Ireland tour, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in just a second.
Ryanair 6627, roger, departing, runway 03, cleared.
Runway 03, that's 031 on the heading. 7,000 feet. There we go. So basically, I'm going to be doing a UK and Ireland tour. Now, for all of my Patreons, you will get access to those videos straight away. So you'll be able to watch them immediately as they come out, as a special thank you to the people who support me on Patreon or those who have donated and stuff like that. If you're a non-patron and you just want to support the channel, you can see the full playlist once it is released and once all the series is completed. The tour is going to kick off on Friday, the 1st of June 2018. So if you're a Patreon, look out for that. If you're a non-Patreon, it'll take a little bit longer. There's a total of 5 flights, and you can go ahead and check those out. If you would like to become a patron, or indeed make any donations whatsoever, I never ask anybody to do this, but I would be extremely happy and extremely grateful for that. It all adds up and it all helps. Again, I never really ask for anybody to donate or anything, but if you choose to donate, no long-term commitment. If you just want to become a patron so you can see early access to the tour, that's fine, and then you can just unsubscribe after, whatever you want to do, but it's purely and simply to thank people for supporting me the way that they have over on Patreon so far. So we can set the altimeter 3009. We're at gate 14 at GCRR. We can set the route up, so GCRR to EGPH is going to be our route today. Our runway that we're going to be departing from is 03. And of course, our flight number is RYR, or Romeo Yankee Romeo 6627. Activate and execute that. Go to the perf init page. This is all standard as well. Nothing really changes on the perf init page in my videos for the 737 at least. Cost index of 6 and the cruise altitude again being 370. Execute that. 24k D rate with flaps 5 as always. We can just go ahead and take a look at some weather. It is variable at 21 knots. What I'm going to do is have a quick look over at Active Sky and see what we're dealing with. So just bear with me a second. 015 at 21 according to good old Active Sky. So we'll stick that in there. Quite a strong wind, 21 knots, but there we go. We can open the doors for GSX. Let some passengers on. There's the passengers boarding. V2 speed is 150. I might add a 5 knot like sort of adjustment onto that as well. Yeah, we will do 155, we'll make that. And we might as well check what SID we're going to be using. So flight plan information, we're going to be using the Sama 1 Yankee departure from runway 03. If we can find it. There we go. Sama 1 Yankee, execute that. Go to legs, just make sure there's no discontinuities or anything. There's no reason why there should be. Everything looks fine. That's the route, all the way up until the point where we need to decide on our arrival. LNAV and VNAV. Auto brake's already set to RTO, that's all good. Traffic data, everything else is all sorted. We can transfer the APU power now. And that is about it. We've just got to wait for the passengers to complete the boarding process, and we should be okay to get ourselves off the ground. Again, this is the return flight all the way back to Edinburgh. Really looking forward to the approach. So I'll be back with you guys in just a second when all the passengers are on board. Okay, so as you just heard there, we have been approved to start up and push back. We're going to close the doors first, obviously. Passengers and obviously all of the cargo and everything sorted out, so we can get ourselves ready to get going. So, auto throttle, that can be armed. We can go ahead and switch on the hydraulics and the anti-collision light. Switch off the wheel well light. The walk around would have finished by now. I think Pro ATCX was talking to a different aircraft, not us, before, so let's just have a look. It's allowing us to request permission for pushback and departure, so just to make sure that we have been approved for that. Anyway, FS actions, ground connections, remove the ground connections. And we can get GSX to push us back. We're going to do a straight pushback with a manual stop. It's a bit of an awkward sort of pushback, this. I'm going to put the second FMC onto the legs page in a second. But first of all, let's just set the takeoff ref. So takeoff ref is 5.57 on the trim. I'll set the legs page on in just a second. No need to do it just yet. We're not in the air yet, so... Another Ryanair.
Good day, sir. Just waiting for some apron traffic while the tug's position. Be pushing back in a couple of minutes. Parking brake on, please.
Parking brake's already set, that's all fine. Lovely wing view, and obviously you can see the ground textures are okay, and that's where we are.
Locking the gear.
Number 14, stand number 14. It's a bit of an awkward sort of negotiation, if you will, when it comes to getting out of this particular parking spot. 11:28 AM. Not sure if that's the exact time. It's probably wrong. I don't know why, but for some reason the clock is always wrong. It's not set to local time or Zulu or whatever.
Now clear, ready to push. Release parking brakes, please.
Parking brakes released.
Commencing push. Engine's clear. Start at your discretion.
We can start engine number 2 now. We're going to wait while the N2 reaches about 25%. As a rule, I don't really bother with that, because again, I'm not really bothered about being realistic, but we're going to do it just for the sake of it today. And we might as well release some fuel now. Listen to the engine spooling up. There's a smoke. You can see that that's where we need to go. We need to go in that direction. But the angle that we're at the moment means we're probably going to have to do like a 90-degree turn. Engine number 1 now. Again, just waiting while 25%. Set the second FMC to the legs page now. Might as well get it done. And we might as well release the fuel into this engine as well. Same procedure. Going to stop here and complete the pushback. We are going to have to go ahead and do like a 90-degree sort of turn to the left. Just to get on the taxiway. Parking brake set. We can set the transponder to TA and RA or XPDR and test it. We'll set it to TA and RA once we're actually on the runway or approaching it. Probe heat's on, APU power transferred. TCAS has passed, we can switch on the packs now. Switching off the APU bleed and of course switching off the APU itself. Engines to continuous. And we can go flaps 5 along with the the trim, which we'll set just in the centre there. And if we're fast enough, we should be able to scroll through the cabin here and have a look at the flaps coming down. I really do need to set some proper easy dock views. I might eventually get chase plane as well instead. Seems to be like a better add-on, but for now, I mean, easy dock works fine for me. There's nothing really that's a major problem. So we can go full left, full right on the controls, and we can go into the cockpit with a full forward, full back, rudder left, and rudder right. That's all looking good to me. Get rid of the engine page. Right. Taxi and turn-offs. And we can request taxi to the runway now.
6627. Request taxi. Ryanair 6627 via Alpha Bravo Echo 4. Taxi to runway 03. Via Alpha Bravo Echo 4 to runway 03.
Alpha Bravo Echo 4. I will try my best. I've got this up on the FB at the moment, so we'll see if we can follow some taxiway. We need to go ahead and do a turn to the left now. Near enough, sort of like a 90-degree turn. So there we go. But while we're taxiing, I'm probably going to be taxiing all over the place. But I will... Whoa, what's he doing? Anyway, I'll go on a little bit about this tour. So again, there's going to be a total of 5 flights. It's only going to be like a short, small little tour. All of the airports that we'll be departing from and landing at will be pay-where airports, namely UK 2000 scenery. It's going to be pretty awesome. It's the first time I've ever done anything like this. I was going to do it live on stream, but I decided that I prefer to make it. I would prefer to make it very, very similar to what I do now. So make it in just sort of like full flight videos with a commentary and stuff like that. I might do some live streams in the future, but I'm really looking forward to it. It's like a small little tour around sort of England, Scotland, and Ireland, or England, Ireland, Scotland, whichever way you want to put that. If you want to find out more details on specific airports and when it's going to take place, again, you can just become a patron and you get the access to all that information. If not, then it'll be a surprise, because in a few weeks' time, again, it's happening on the 1st of June. A few weeks after that, once the tour's completed, it will be uploaded in full, so that everybody can see it. It will be made public to all non-patrons and non-donators. Again, it's just a way of me saying thank you to the people out there who have donated. Whoa, we've got another Ryanair taking off. See if we can watch this without taxiing all over the place. There he goes. Wonder where he's going today. Gears coming up there. But yeah, it's just my way of saying thank you, guys, because obviously I do appreciate that a lot of you have taken the time to sort of donate and obviously become patrons and stuff like that. And although I love making content and stuff like that, I wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't for the small donations and giving back that the community does for me, because that pays for add-ons, for software, for hardware and stuff like that. So it's just my way of saying thank you. We're going to do like a little tour and everything, just to show off some new scenery that I've been able to purchase. But nevertheless, we can see we've got another aircraft coming in onto runway 03 today. I'm not looking at EFB at the moment. It doesn't show me... Well, I am, but it doesn't show me what aircraft that actually is. So we might have to sort of guess. I think it looks like another Ryanair. Probably get a better view if we... Yeah, I'm sure that's a 738. Or 737-800. Ryanair, yeah. Pretty interesting. Lanzarote appears to be absolutely full of Ryanair aircraft. Must be a popular holiday destination. Never been there myself, actually. I'd love to go to Lanzarote. I'm going to go ahead and set the transponder to TA and RA now. We've already tested it, everything's working fine. I decided to stop cutting it out all the time when we're actually taxiing to the runway, because it allows me to give you a bit of information about the flight, and obviously to have a bit of a chat. So, speaking of information about the flight, I might as well give you guys a few details. So, again, we're going to be travelling here from GCRR, which is Golf Charlie Romeo Romeo here in Lanzarote, to EGPH Echo Golf Papa Hotel in Edinburgh in Scotland. with Ryanair 6627. This is the return flight from the previous flight that we did on the way here. It's going to take about 4 hours and 20 minutes, covering about 1,934 nautical miles. And again, we are here with the gorgeous PMDG 737-800 in the Ryanair sort of livery. So that's the information. That's all I have for you guys. The rest of it, drop it down in the comments section and I'll do my best to answer. Nevertheless, you can see that we are approaching the runway threshold, which appears to be sort of on an angle at the moment. It's right round this corner, just on the edge of the corner here. So it looks like we're going to stop just here. Or is there one a little bit further on? No. So we're going to have to stop here. That's fine. We can contact the tower now.
Tower, Ryanair 6627. Hold it short, runway 03, ready for departure. Ryanair 6627.
Strobes on. Taxi's off, landing's on, and we have been permitted to enter the runway and line up. Another exciting thing, the next video will hopefully, which will hopefully be in time for the tour, will hopefully have Active Sky Cloud Art as a new add-on. I've just purchased that, haven't installed it yet, but the next video will hopefully have that installed. So we'll have even more realistic clouds and sort of environmentals and stuff. It should look pretty nice. Here we are, runway 03. There we go. Clear for takeoff, that's fine. Nice and early by tower, we didn't even have to stop. We can click the clock, or click the clock, or clock the click. Set the clock ticking and toga. And get ourselves out of here. Again, we've got a little bit of a headwind, quite a bit of a headwind to be honest, but we should be okay. Sort of 21 knots that the wind's going. V1. Rotate. And rotate. Try and do a nice gentle rotation. Sort of lost the centre line there, but we're up. Gear up. Positive rate. I will try my best to control the aircraft. Look at that. To control the aircraft manually for a little bit. Don't know what's going on with the vehicles down there. That car appears to be sort of going along the grass, which I'm sure that's illegal. Nevertheless. Trying to follow the flight director without lifting the nose up too high just yet. It's a lot more difficult than what a lot of people make out when it comes to control. Bear in mind, I would love to have a yoke, but at the moment, obviously, I'm not using that. We can lock the gear and we can turn off the auto brake. I think I'd be able to control the aircraft a lot better if I was using a yoke. Now, am I right in thinking, was it 6,000 or 7?
Ryanair 6627. Ryanair 6627. Radar contact. Continue via SAN Alpha 1 Yankee departure. Climb to flight level 70.
7,000, that's fine, that's no problem. Sort of misheard them then, I was concentrating on everything else. Nevertheless, flaps are on the way up, we can activate the autopilot now. We can set the engines to the off position, turn off the runway turn-offs, seatbelts to auto, and away we go. Look at that view. That is absolutely gorgeous. I've turned on some water effects as well. Hopefully that'll make it look a bit nicer than what we previously had on the way here. Really do enjoy looking out of the window when you first take off in the aircraft. On an island like this, when it's like sunny and like a holiday destination, it always just looks amazing. So anyway, we are climbing out now. In a few moments we're going to go to some nice cinematics, but just before we do that we can have a little bit more of a look at the departure. Lovely clouds going off. 11:40 AM, which is approximately the exact time that this aircraft took off in real life. So we've sort of followed the flight plan properly. There's not a great deal of scenery, but it does look nice. For what there is, it looks lovely. Standard pressurization now. And that's it. That's all she wrote. There's not much else that we can really do. Radios are all set to what they should be and stuff like that. We can bring up the legs page now. And that is it. So, with that, we can go ahead and switch over to some lovely cinematics. The progress page says we should be there by 15:32. So hopefully we will be. Unless, of course, the clock's wrong, which I think it might be. But nevertheless, guys, I will leave you with some lovely cinematics on the way over to Edinburgh. See you in a bit, guys. Okay guys, so it's now 16:08. We're going to set the current heading. We are literally within the 150 miles. We're going to start descending. 360 on the altitude. We can begin the descent now. And because we've begun that descent, I will also go ahead and configure the aircraft a little bit for landing, just so that we're ready when we get over there. So, depart, we're going to be using the EDN 3 Alpha for ILS 24 over at Edinburgh, which is actually strange because we look on Active Sky, the runway in use is runway 06, but for some reason Pro ATCX has asked us to use an alternative one. We can't really change that either, which is a bit unusual because usually Pro ATCX allows you to change your preferred landing runway. But nevertheless, we've got the EDN 3 Alpha arrival, which is what we're going to be using. ILS runway 24 with the EDN transition. Can activate that. So there we go, that's the sort of approach we're going to be using. 108.9 at 243, and the decision height is 335. So with that, there's not much else we can really do. I've already set that into the standby radios. We can switch it over to active now. 230 on the altitude. And we should be able to make our way with auto brake 2 over to Edinburgh. Just going to set the minimums as well. 335 on that side. And 335 on that side. Again, it's 1610 at the moment. I don't know why we're not descending, so I may just... Oh, there we go. Increase the speed a little bit, that will set off our descent. And I might even just use vertical speed, to be honest. Feeling a bit lazy today. Not very often I do that now. I prefer to actually just use LNAV and VNAV and just adjust the speed, but there we go. We can set the course, which is 243. We've already got the ILS frequency set up on the radios as well. It's just a case of tinkering around with the speed now until we get to that perfect descent rate. So, with that, I will see you guys in just a few moments. Look at that. You can see we're coming into the UK now. And within the next few minutes, we will be landing. So, I will catch up with you guys once we have approached the glide slope and everything and ready to intercept.
ILS, approach runway 24. Transition ED and
Present altitude.
ILS approach, runway 24. Transition ED and Ryanair 6627.
And as you just heard, we've been cleared for the approach. See, it's a rather strange approach. The airport is there, it's on the left, just ahead. At about, sort of like 10 o'clock at the minute. Or like 11 o'clock. Whichever way you want to put it. Lovely scenery. There it is, the airport. Over there in the distance. We're sort of going to overshoot and then come back on ourselves. Which, when I first started learning different SIDs and stars and stuff like that, I never understood. But then I sort of got the idea and I was like, well, yep, that's what's supposed to happen. As you can see, we're not going to be landing on the runway that you can see the pappies at, those yellow pappies. We're going to be landing on the runway that is right at the end of that in a different direction that's going across. And you can also reference that on the EFIS there, you can see the ILS feathers. A lot of people have asked me, am I a professional pilot and stuff like that, by the way. I think I've already told you that I'm not, but just in case anybody didn't know, sorry for the lag spike there. I'm not a professional pilot, I never have been. I try to do what I do on the simulator as good as I can. I like to have a little bit of fun as well, so I don't like everything to be too realistic. I don't like to follow every rule to the T, because to be honest, if I was going to do that, I might as well go ahead and get a pilot's license.
right heading 040.
Right turn to heading 040.
040, we've begun the vectors now. Can go into heading select. And pretty soon we'll begin the descent, which I think our missed approach altitude is 3,000 feet, so that's what ATC will give us that we need to be at to intercept the glide slope anyway. Messing around with the speed a little bit, 210. Look at that. That is nice. Can't wait for the active sky cloud art. It's going to make it look even better. Just need to get that installed for the next video. Nevertheless, you see, we sort of begun to capture the ILS or the localizer there, but we don't actually need to intercept it yet. We need to sort of go back on ourselves. It's a bit of a confusing approach, but there we go. Look at that. I suppose it'd look even nicer if we had like FTX Scotland or something like that, but this is just all FTX Global and FTX England. 1636, I've tinkered about with the clock a little bit. 1640 is when we're apparently going to be landing. Or when we should be. So it's all looking good, really. I just cannot get over how nice it looks. I know I say this every single time, and my favourite saying is probably like, look at that. In every video I always say, look at that. You know, that's going to be something that goes down in history as one of MrYorkiesWorld's favourite sayings. I'm hoping that you can see as well, by the water effects. Look at that nice little island there. The water effects are a little bit different as well. I've added some animations in, or enabled them now. So it makes it look a little bit less generic and a little bit more realistic. But yeah, FTX Global does the trick for me. I don't know which Orbex package I'll buy next. I know there's a sale on at the moment. I think it's still on. I was going to buy something, but I don't know whether to do that just yet, because I'm all sort of saving up for the Airbus when it comes out, for the Aerosoft Airbus. And that's going to take some learning as well. I'm really looking forward to learning that. Might be a little bit of a while before you see it on the channel, but it's hopefully going to be a nice learning curve for me. I should have done the Airbus first. I think it should have been the first thing I purchased, but it wasn't. The 737, this very aircraft was the first thing I purchased. And I've been sort of attached ever since. It's not really a problem for me. I love the aircraft, but I know a lot of you have said that you'd like to see me fly different aircraft and stuff, which so would I. I'd love to perfect different aircraft, to be honest. So this is basically the boring bit. Here we go, 200. 3,000 feet. Bringing back the speed to 200. I think I will also use vertical speed just to make sure that we do descend properly, because for some reason, if you leave it up to LNAV and VNAV, it doesn't always work. And I've said this a few times, it's probably because I'm not programming the VNAV path in or whatever it is. But I just find it easier to do it this way. It's a bit more challenging instead of having it all done automatically and stuff. Just increase that level of descent a little bit, or maybe a lot, just so that we intercept at the right altitude. 190 on the speed. And we can go back to flaps 10 now. Our speeds are under 210 knots, so that's fine for flaps 10. VOR lock. Just going to increase that level of descent again, just so that the green arc there allows us to sort of have descended at the right sort of level. I mean, we have got the glide slope, so it shouldn't make any difference really. It just means we're going to have like a long sort of approach, but nevertheless. Approach holds in, we're captured. Cleared final approach. Just got to contact the tower now. And once we're clear to land, we'll go ahead and drop the gear. Look at that view. Speed's looking good. Nose isn't too high. ILS is perfectly captured near enough now. The glide slope is definitely perfectly captured. And now the localizer is. Looking good. Just waiting for ATC now. We've got the auto brake set. Speed brake is armed. We are showing a slight fuel imbalance in the left engine, by the looks of it, on the EFIS. But it's not like a major problem. We're landing anyway, we've got plenty of fuel. You do sometimes get the odd imbalance that you have to sort of deal with, but I didn't actually notice it, so I should probably... No lights have come up or anything, so it's not warning me, but...
Tower, Ryanair 6627, on final, runway 2.
Look at that view.
Ryanair 6627, reduced to final approach speed. QNH
Final approach speed, 139.
Final approach speed, QNH 102.
Gear down.
Runway 24, Ryanair 6627.
And we can drop the flaps as well. There's the gear. We sort of missed it coming down, which I do every time because I don't have a proper like a view set up or anything, but there we go. Both engines now have gone yellow, so there is a little bit of low fuel. Slight miscalculation by fuelplanner.com, but there we go. Flaps can go to 30. We may well have to set the flaps, or set the speed, sorry, to 144, which is just 5 knots above what we've got at the moment. But look at that view. That is absolutely amazing. Coming on to evening time in Edinburgh. You can see the horizon, that lovely tinge to it. I think any minute now I will go ahead and add those extra 5 knots on, so we'll have like a 144 instead of a 139. You can see the low fuel warnings. Nothing we need to be worried about, to be honest. We've got plenty to get us on the ground. And with that, I think what I will do is just admire the view. I mean, look at that. Buildings looking lovely. Terrain looking lovely. That's even nicer. Look at that. We'll add those extra 5 knots on now, so 144 on the speed, just to compensate. Because the nose is sort of wanting to lift up a little bit. It's nothing major, we could probably get away with it, but there we go. 3,000 feet's checked, gears down, 3 greens, flaps are sorted, auto brakes sorted, speed brakes armed. And of course we have capture on the ILS. Coming up on 1,000 feet. In fact, I think we're already under 1,000 feet. I'm just going to go ahead and disconnect. I don't know why it's not told me. But there we go. Disconnecting. The aircraft is now mine. Hopefully not going to mess up the landing. We can see some lovely Edinburgh scenery. I love it when you're coming into land. We saw a nice bit of it on takeoff, but you can never beat it on landing. You don't really get to see very much on takeoff. It's sort of like all at once, like a bit of a rush. Little bit low. Lag spike. Don't know why that's happening lately. Very low, in fact. So let's just get that continuing. There was minimums. We should be alright. We can catch up with the glide slope. There's the warning. Nothing major.
50, light slope. 20.
And there we go, we're down. Reverses are green. Trying to keep that centre line.
Ryanair
80 knots.
6627, exit to the left, contact
Exits to the left, that's perfect.
121.75. Ryanair
Manual braking.
6627.
We'll take this exit to the left here if we can get there. Set the auto brake to off. And we will take the exit to the left. I will take that. That was a pretty okay landing. I could have done with sort of being a little bit higher. I was sort of like too low, but there we go. Flaps are on the way up as well. I'm going to stop here and just clean up the aircraft. And we can choose the gate that we're going to be arriving at, which I've no idea which one that will be. Parking brake set. Get rid of that warning. Right. Transponder off. We can go ahead and get rid of the VORs, the traffic and the data. Flight directors. Sort that out. Do the same on the other side. And we can just reverse all the numbers back to 0 now. Or 360, there we go. Altitude can go back to 0 as well. I don't really know whether you're supposed to do this like as part of the cleanup process, but I just like to do it. Because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, but there we go. But here we are. Welcome everybody to Edinburgh. On the 4-hour and 20-minute flight that it took to get here. Looking nice, looking good. Ryanair is going to be part of the UK and Ireland tour. It's going to be one of the aircraft that I use. Not every one of the aircraft will be the one that was actually used, or it might not even be an actual flight, but we're going to try and make the most of it and do it our own way.
Ryanair 6627, taxi via Echo, Terminal 1, Gate 6 via Echo, Terminal 1,
Gate 6.
Ryanair 6627.
Right, let me just have a look at EFB to see where Gate 6 is. I think I know where it is. It's So we can go ahead and get the aircraft ready. Probe heats can come off now. APU can be started. Everything is sorted. Clear that warning. I think I know where we're going now. Let's just set up GSX to do the same thing as well, so the gate's actually prepared. So gate 6, there we go. Don't need a request to follow me. For some reason there is no Ryanair, so we're just going to use Service Air. Nevertheless, it's okay to be honest. But yeah, so some of the flights that I do on the tour will not be real-world flights, just because of the way that the tour is. But we'll sort of make them up as we go along, and there might be a few sort of like real flights as well. But it should be fun just to do my first ever tour. I've never done that on the channel, basically, so let's just turn off the strobes. I've never done it on the channel. It's really exciting. A lot of YouTubers do it, like Chewy94 and sort of like Matt Davies and stuff. Everybody's done a tour at some point, so I thought, you know what, why not? So let's just do our own tour. And again, if you are a Patreon or a patron, or if you're somebody who has previously given any donation to the channel, you will have first-hand access. You'll receive the link straight away to the video as soon as it's uploaded as part of the series. There'll be a total of 5 flights around the UK, Scotland and Ireland. And Wales as well, actually. So basically England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales. But it's just something I thought I'd do on the channel, but there we go. So that's another flight in the bag. We're going to try and taxi our way over to gate number 6. If anybody is interested in requesting a flight for this tour, we can always add like flights in and stuff. I'm going to be changing it and swapping and changing as we go along. So, but most of the scenery, or all of the scenery so far, from what we've planned, is going to be UK 2000 scenery, so it is actually going to be real scenery that I've purchased. So that should be a nice treat. We're going to take this turn to the right. I do apologise about the frame rate. Another Ryanair to the right there, and an EasyJet to the left. Stop the clock, should have done that before. And here we are with gate number 6. We can go ahead and switch off the lights so we don't blind people. There's the Marshal, and it says Edinburgh up there, just in case anybody didn't believe me that we're in Edinburgh. Don't know why you wouldn't, but there we go. See if we can mess up the parking. Usually my favourite thing to do, that. Not going to be perfect, but as long as it's roughly okay, we'll be fine. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we'll stop about there. That's too far, well, not far enough, but we're okay. We'll set the parking brake. I'm happy with that. We can transfer the APU power before I forget to do that. Cut the engines, like so, and set the passenger signs to off. I was going to say auto then, but off. That, ladies and gentlemen, is near enough it. Welcome to Edinburgh, gate number 6. We can request some deboarding from GSX. And that is it. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Edinburgh. Hope you enjoyed the flight from Lanzarote to Edinburgh. This has been a return flight. Hope everybody enjoyed. Look out for the next video, guys. Again, remember the tour is happening on the 1st of June. So if you're a subscriber on Patreon, or you've donated or anything, you get first-hand access. If you would like access, feel free to become a patron for as little as like $1 a month or something, and you can get access to that full tour. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.